Hey guys, what's up? This is 20th October's question answer discussion. Let's see the very first question, guys. In see the just try to read carefully this question first. In this question, it has been said that traditional norms that affect social principles such as gender rights must be examined on priorities. Just see the things. The main focus is given on traditional norms. All right, so those traditional norms which are affecting the social principles, such as here in this question there is an example given, such as for example gender right, means you have to magnify this issue called gender right, that how gender right as a traditional norm is affecting the social principle. All right, means it's not that you have to magnify only the gender right issue. There are other traditional norms also which are directly affecting the social principles. You just have to magnify those things also, but this is also the thing which is being asked by the examiner, that you have to deal with this topic also, right? So how will this affect the social principles? All right, so you just have to comment over this. So what how I am analyzing this, that this traditional norm I'm getting here it as a keyword, right? So I'll just discuss about the traditional norms, that what is the traditional norms, how means what are this importance for India. Next I'll deal that what are the norms, what are those traditional norms which are destabilizing the society. First I will discuss this gender right, how gender right is a traditional norm which is affecting the social principle. Rest I'll also deal with other different norms which are directly destabilizing our societal fabric. All right, all those things we'll discuss, and later we'll discuss that how, means since these are affecting, so what are those effects, what we can observe, what are those effects being observed by us, right? We'll discuss that also. And what since it is a problematic question, so I'll prefer you to give a way forward thing in it, means way forward solution in this question. All right, so let's discuss the question, guys. Answer. See, traditional norm is an evolutionary evidence in our Indian history which gives a his hint to us about our past heritage and culture. All right, and that's why we are proud of it. But however, its negative effects of few norms need to be done away with. It means, guys, as in question that has been asked, that about gender right you have to things, I mean, so you have to deal, right? So gender right also puts a negative effects. All right, so those kind of negative effects need to be done away with, right? Now let's deal about the norms which are destabilizing the society, and I'll first be taking this gender right issue, because due to gender rights, that certain genders are not given their rights. Means here I'm discussing about female gender, right? So because patriarchy is prevailing in our society, all right, that's why they are not getting equal status. And in if I'm not wrong, in article 51A it has been said that we should promote scientific temper also, right? So all those aspects I'm including. Next is self government, in the sense of khap panchayat are also the self government institutions which are running in our which are unauthorizedly running in our country, right? So they also I mean they are also patriarchies very much promoted, so that need to be depromoted. Next is existing inequality which is being existing in our society, all right, which are further destabilizing the social fabric. So we just need to ensure that there must be equality exist under the purview of law. Next, social norms which are destabilizing the societies are casteism and communism, and Devdasi system is also there in system, which we have recently seen in news also, that if I'm not wrong, that is in Karnataka or Andhra Pradesh, some news was there that Devdasi systems are still running. So these are directly or indirectly hurting the woman's dignity. All right, so these are, I mean, these are a dent in our society, right? Next is casteism and communalism, also you can deal with it, and you can even give the example of recent issues, ongoing issues like cow vigilantism, sorry, है ना? And there is hard measure needs to be taken on those elements which are creating social destability. All right, so these are the points which you can discuss. Next is what are the effects. See, the effects are promotion of their increases the promotion of social crimes, due to which the crimes against Dalit and minority people increases. There is hindrance for the for women to explore themselves. All right. And next is, there is also bad precedent set for the future generation, because future generation also look things from the political perspective. All right, because as we have already discussed, that casteism है ना, everything's means the next generation is looking from the spectacles of caste. All right, so these are kind of polities. I mean, the how what politics must be, politics must be secular, but it is not getting secular due to the some of these social elements, and some of these social norms that they are following since ages. The secular fabric of our country is somewhere getting diluted, so those things must need to be addressed. Next is disobedience of law of land is also there, just because of the fact that these social norms are destabilizing our society. That's why there is disobedience of laws of land, like we have already mentioned about khap panchayat, right? That is there, they don't have any constitutional or legal mandate, but still they run in our country, right? So these are the disobedience of law of land. So what is the need of now? There's need to infuse the social values in school curriculum itself, right? You can't change anything until you change the behavior and attitude of the small children's, right? That must be done, started from the children life only. Next is ensure more women participation in every aspects of life, and try to incorporate this 33% legislation reservation bill for women in central legislature also, right? Next is framing of legislations which are disobeying the social laws, means that kind of legislation which are disobeying the social laws. So stringent legislations must be framed by the government against it, right? For example, I've given that in recently Maharashtra government has came up with ostracization law, right? Means any if person is facing ostracization, so those people who are ostracizing him or her will be getting punished under the purview of law. So these kind of things must be taken by the government to address all these issues. Next question is, guys, competitive market is a key ingredient for agricultural reforms. Now see, the keyword here is agriculture reform, right? Also competitive market is a keyword, but you have to analyze this agriculture reform thing from the angle of competitive market. Now what does I mean from this? I mean that what are the agriculture reforms you need? First you have to just think of it, right? What are the present status of agriculture and why it is so, right? You have to deal with that first. Next is, how does the competitive market helps? Means competitive market means what? Market in state and market which is being given by the means which is being allotted under the central government or the state government must be competitive in nature. And how does the market get competitive? When there is intrusion of private sector in it, right? So you have to just deal with that. How does this competitive market helps, right? And what is the need? Where are the loopholes being still existing in our system which needs to be nullified, so that this competitive market potential can be utilized in bringing the agriculture reforms, right? So you just have to deal with all these key aspects. So let's see, guys. Firstly, I've always said that we'll deal with the agricultural sector. We'll give basic facts, like it constitutes around 50% of the workforce, but still it's provide around 17% of the nation's GDP, and the state is subjected to frequent tussle between the center and state regarding the reform. Since agriculture sector is coming under state subject, so there is frequent tussle which is being observed between the center and the state government for the coming of reform in this sector. Because if central government wants to come up with certain reforms, but the state government doesn't allow that, right? So market can become competitive only when efforts from the center and the states in done in a cooperative way, in a co-federal way, right? Otherwise it is very much difficult. Now how does competitive market helps? There is more remuneration to the farmers. Of course, if there is more competition, more farmers will get more money. There is relief for the large recruitment sector, since it is, as I've already discussed, that it recruits around 50% of the workforce, but still it produces just around 17% of the GDP. But I mean, If competitiveness will come, then of course the remuneration of farmers will increase, and indirectly there, I mean, the relief will be given to the large recruitment sector. Next is it, there will be also mitigate the mental trauma which is being nowadays being faced by the, the farmers section of the society, because often it's being seen that I mean, in every, every year it comes in news that farmers has done suicide. So why do they suicide? Because they're in mental trauma. Why they're in mental trauma? Because they're not getting that much money. Why they're not getting that much money from the market? Because there's no competitiveness in market. There's no competitiveness in agriculture sector, because private companies don't want to come in that, right? And government is not able to make this as a professional sector, है ना, and give more employment and money to, the farmers. That's why they are facing mental trauma also. So these there are prospects that, if competitive market will come in agriculture sector, then of course agriculture, there will be agricultural reforms, and mental trauma which is being faced by the farmers as of now, in future those traumas will not be faced by them anymore. Next is it will also attract the youth from which are going away from the agriculture sector, because youth are not seeing any future in agriculture sector, because agriculture sector seems to be very much, I mean, it is not seems to be a profit sector, right? So they, choose other options, right? So I mean, these are the things you should deal with. Next is it will also lead to empowerment of women associated, because there is a large sector of women who are directly associated with this agriculture sector. All right, so and if agriculture sector is, I mean, reformed, then of course, I mean, women will also feel themselves empowered a bit, right? Next is it will also lead to raise of quality of life as well as the living standard of people, of course. I mean, people, the farmer section of the people especially, all right, because they will be getting, of course, more remuneration, and they will getting more money. So the social characteristics which are there, which wherever they are lagging, so in those social characteristics, and they can move forward, I mean to say that. Next is unorganized sector. Since it is agriculture sector is totally an unorganized sector, we know that, right? So coming of competitiveness market will kind of provide cushion, है ना, to for its future destabilization. If there is no market, I mean to say that if there is no market competition, means farmer is not getting that much money, means agriculture sector is still lagging behind. What is does it means that it in future it has a probability to get destabilized, right? So though destabilization, there will be cushion will given by the competitive market if competitive market gets intrude into this unorganized sector, right? Now what is the need, means what government can do now? Government can bring public private partnership in this agriculture sector. Now private sector will never want to come in this agriculture sector until and unless they get an assurance from the government that if at all in future they face any kind of any kind of, what I say, loss, then there will be someone to give them support, and that will be, of course, government, right? So government must you know must allocate the primary funding. I mean to say here, see, you can't attract a private sector to any farming sector, right? Means you can't tell him that invest in this farming sector. He will only invest if in any farming sector if he'll see that there are infrastructure made by the government. Means if there is no canal network, so why will that private sector be investing in that farmland, right? And if the government already make a canal network there, so he'll see that okay, since the government has made canal network, means in that patch of land there will be availability of water. So if I'll be investing on that land, so in future there is a probability that I'll be getting much more profited, right? So that's why I said that public private partnership must come up with primary funding from the government, and that secondary funding will be given by the private sector. And for that, private sector needs to be I mean, the government must make conferences, to make awareness to the private private partners, that what they can do for the for our India. Next is transparency must be increased in this sector. Now guys, from transparency I mean that still it is being seen that the structure of our country is not that transparent. In I mean, not country, I would say sorry, I mean to say that in agriculture sector transparency is not there. Means whatever the I mean, if the government is coordinating with the contacting with the farmers, then it is not done through the electronic medium. It is just done through the paper and pen and paper medium, right? And in those pen and paper medium there is a huge probability of doing corruptions, right? So those must be done away with and transparency must be brought, so that the governmental benefit can be properly reached to the farmers. Next is enam must be implemented, guys. Now what is enam? Enam is National Agriculture Market. If enam is implemented, see, though the central government has already come up with the model enam act, right, but that has not been adopted by the state government. Why that has not been adopted? Because under that, if that will be adopted, that the APMC cartels will be stopped, and if APMC cartels will be stopped, then it will be huge loss to the state government, है ना? So that's why they just don't want to do away with their APMC act, and that's why they are not eager in implementing this model enam act which is being proposed by the center, right? But the center has already proposed. So there is a need for every states to come forward and implement this enam act, so that farmers can get more remuneration under it. Next is government must find out the prospects of funding from different sector, whether it be private sector, whether it be any out from any outsource. Means government must do plan. In fact, I would say that government must make a dedicated institution regarding this. So, and that institution will plan that from where to get money to invest in this agriculture sector, right? I mean, there must be a dedicated institution. That is my perspective, and you can also write if you at all want to. Next is there is a need to empower farmers. They need to given the digital know-how, because if at all in future there is these things are being made transparent, and but still they are being probable to getting corrupt. I mean, they are probable to getting robbed by the government officials in a sense, right? Because whatever the government officials will say, they will just say that okay बड़े साहब ने जो बोला है वही सही होगा. So that is kind of a very negative attitude, right? And if you yourself empower the farmers, you yourself tell them that what this digital technology works, how this works, all right, so they will be empowerment. Okay, yeah, since government, I know that how does it works. So if at all any person will ask me for any sort of money, whether it be 10 rupees or 20 rupees, but I will not give, because government has already said me that we should not give money to any person regarding any work. Well, that kind of thing, I'm just telling that I'm just trying to make you understand regarding this, right? So there must be a conducive environment which must be formed by the government, so that SHGs could proliferate. Now what is SHGs? That those are self-help group, and if those self-help group are proliferated, then it is being said that the prospects of professionality in agriculture sector, there is a probability of getting this professionality increased, right? So that's why it is being said. Next is genetically modified crops introduction must be there, all right? Because if genetically modified crops are introduced, then the production per hectare will get very much increased, which will be of course being benefited for the agriculture sector. Next is R&D must be increased by the government, and procurement must also, I mean, as of now the procurement is done by the government, right? So I personally believe that in procurement sector also the private sectors must come up, because nowadays what happens is, if I'm giving an example, see, there is government, all right, these 5 farmers are there, they want to procure their money, their crops to here, right? Say for example 500 farmers have come, right? So all the 500s can't get their things procured at one day. Maximum 100 people will get their done, right? Now these the farmer who is there in 450th position, when his number will come at the very 5th day. Now if his number is coming at the very 5th day, so he'll have to spend 4 days there. Now in 4 days, in living and fooding cost, he'll though he will be getting, say for example, 10,000 from this government, but in fooding, lodging, whatever he's been doing for these 5 days, he has invested his 1,000 rupees, and 1,000 rupees for a farmer is huge, guys, huge, trust me. So it is not beneficial, right? So what they did is that they sell their product to other, some sort of private agents at a cheaper cost. Say they'll at a 9,500 rupees, right? So still he's getting 500 profit. So those kind of things, since these are procurement is been done by the government only, so government cannot manage to take the procured thing from every farmers. If there is intrusion of private sector, so different procurement agencies will be there, right? Means other earlier only one was there, so and 500 people were there, and now 5 procurement centers will be there, and 100 will be, each will be 100, right? So every people can get their things procured at a very single day only. Means I'm just giving an example. So procurement sector must be also be privatized and all. So these are the suggestions from my sector only, just that, right? I mean, if you have other suggestions, please do write in the comment section. I will also get to learn from you, right? So guys, yeah, this was all about it. We'll meet in next class. Till then, bye bye, take care. Thank you for listening to me, guys. Thank you very much.